Be strong.
Welcome in Degenerates. Roster the people, week 8. How we doing? Everybody happy? All right, good enough. Good enough for me. Happy as we're gonna be.
Glad you're so energetic today.
We're already at about a 6. We're gonna get to about a 9 by the time this game kicks off. It's my least favorite thing. I have a lot of fantasy implications riding on this game tonight, which I hate. I absolutely hate it. What happened to putting games that don't matter on Thursday? You put this game on between two like playoff teams on a Thursday night. It benefits no one. Anyway, Skylar has a question, so we'll
Welcome in, Skylar.
We'll do our jobs.
I
As we are contractually obligated to do them. Evans, Pickens, Williams, Cook. Wow, Cooper. Okay, pick 2 half.
Pickens and Evans. Half, yeah. I think that's still how I'm going to go.
I'm assuming he means he must mean Amari Cooper. Okay, yeah, no,
Yes.
We're not doing that. Because it's PJ
I mean, it's
Walker
fine,
again.
but it's risky.
It's PJ Walker again. I don't want to deal with it. You got better choices on this list. Yeah, it's gonna be Evans and Pickens, and I hate it. The rationale being, it's even though it's half point, Williams is terrifying, and Cook's usage is all over the place. He lost half his job, and then you realize what happens. They start losing a game for a change, and suddenly Cook's catching dump offs. And it's like, so if they're going to be losing, but I don't anticipate them to be losing this game. That's kind of the issue. There's a certain amount of random that's happening with this. I don't feel great about Pickens. I do feel okay about Evans. The Bills secondary is in shambles.
You don't feel good about Pickens? Really?
Not really, no.
With Johnson popping up on the injury report,
hasn't mattered to this point, really. Like, it's still really risky. They're going to throw it to him. It's a question of, like, you going to catch it? I don't know. Like, is it going to be thrown to him in a way that he could even catch it? Or is it just going to be sailing
60%.
6 feet over his head out of bounds into the stands? Like, that's part of the issue. All right, one more. Pick 3 full PPR. Jacobs, Kamara, Eckler, Gibbs, Addison, Myers.
It's going to be Myers for sure. Kamara for sure. Then PPR. I'm probably going to go Addison, but it is close with Gibbs there. I just like Addison's more prone to a big play compared to Gibbs.
We agree on playing Kamara. You're playing Kamara. There's no way you're not playing Kamara. The Myers thing is less than ideal, just because that whole team is less than ideal, honestly, if we're being just totally truthful about it.
Jacoby Myers is currently the wide receiver 15.
Sure. Today. Don't trust anything related to Vegas. The problem is normally this would be a layup. It would be Kamara, Eckler, and then probably Jacobs, right? I get why he if you were setting this lineup earlier in the season, I get this is a no-brainer. You're just going to play your 3 running backs at the top and then be done with it. But Jacobs has been a tire fire. That's not his fault, by the way. He hasn't suddenly forgot how to play football. The Raiders don't know what they're doing. And Eckler is...
Well, they're not using him in the passing game, which is really hurting him.
Well, Eckler's got the same problem. They're not using him in the passing game because, your coach is going to get fired here in about a week anyway. So then we'll go back to the old method, which was I use Allen and Eckler and nothing else matters. And we'll go back to that methodology very shortly here, just as soon as Staley is fired. And that'll be what? Monday? Like, he's the odds-on leader. Vegas odds 2-1. He's the first coach fired. Do you blame them for that, by the way? They've got him ahead of Eberflus. Eberflus is paying 5-2. Tune in for more great nuggets like this tomorrow on Locked In, Friday evenings with Mason and Vishal. I'm sure they will discuss this at length. So within this, real quick, what I would do, it's really frustrating, but I'm gonna play Kamara, Eckler, and no, see, this is the problem. Is if you go by my rankings, you go by
Eckler has
fantasy
a great
growth.
matchup, so I
You go
understand
by
where you're
you go
going.
by my rankings. It'll tell. I gotta go by my rankings. I gotta go by what I wrote and told the public. It's this is a hard one because Eckler is terrifying. Coming off that 6, you really don't trust this anymore. But it's Austin Eckler. Like it's how do you not want to trust it? It's Kamara, Eckler, Addison. That's what I'm going with here. Addison's been great since Jefferson's been down, and I don't see that slowing down anytime.
The first game he went down, not so much. The next one was better.
He caught that touchdown, bailed you out. That's all I needed to see.
Yeah.
And then they went right back to the well. We went right back to KJ Osborne gets targets, but he's hideously inefficient, so he doesn't matter.
Powell's an interesting name to look at here.
Well, he only had
when you're
4
looking at
receptions.
lines.
That's Soaring
Eagle.
Got to pick a tight end.
Wait.
I don't like any of your choices, but I don't like any of them anyway. They wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter what you told me.
It probably, if Everett's healthy, that's the issue. I'm probably actually going to roll out Ferguson because he's the only one that I see really getting a touchdown.
He's most likely to score a touchdown. It's between Logan Thomas and Jake Ferguson, and I'm probably
Yeah.
going to roll back. I'm going to roll out with Logan Thomas. Ferguson is scary because he only matters in the red zone. Well, if they don't get to the red zone,
Doesn't matter.
he does nothing. Whereas Logan Thomas has involvement in other ways and could get a touchdown. So it's kind of where I'm going here. Here we go. We got to do this one.
Welcome,
real quick.
Rodney.
Addison, Evans, Olave, 2. So sit 1.
Oh my god.
I'm sitting Olave.
Really?
Yeah.
It's half, so you want the big. I think I'm going to sit Evans.
Just because it's Thursday.
That and, Godwin's saw higher targets.
Oh, I see. We're finally having this conversation. Okay.
Godwin saw more targets, so yeah.
Okay. So we're finally, as I told you, I will replace you with the board from Ed and Eddie if you don't stop being wrong about Chris Godwin. I've got the board around here.
I wasn't wrong. What was he last week?
I will put that board in that chair. The ratings will go up.
38 on the year.
The ratings will go up immediately. To be fair, if we replaced both of us with the board, the ratings would go up as well. And the ratings would also go up. So it wouldn't just be me. It wouldn't just be you. You could be the board, and I think I'm going to be like a Gumby action figure or something. Like, do people know what Gumby is anymore, or am I just old? Do the kids know what Gumby is? I don't know if the kid. I don't know if anybody under. Maybe we go with Thomas the Tank Engine. I could do either.
Still, you're more looking at like Paw Patrol or Bluey or
I don't know. Like I have what people can answer this. Paul, look it up. If I replaced myself with the wacky waving inflatable arm tube man, would that be better? Because I could do that, and then Jason could be the board from Ed and Eddie. I think that
his name is Plank. Stop doing that.
It is Plank.
Yes, that would be kind of funny with googly eyes and.
Yeah, you do like a real realistic one, like it. All right, Rodney. I hope we've helped you. I believe we have. We split that decision, by the way. All right, Daniel. Oh boy. Okay. Godwin, Pickens, Downs, PPR 8-team league. Well, Deontay Johnson is now probably not playing. So
yeah, that hamstring popped up again.
You're gonna go ahead and scratch that more than likely.
Is he just taking 1?
I think so.
If that's the case, I'm probably going to go Downs, dude. He's been ridiculously good with Minshew and seeing enough target share, easier matchup.
I feel like it's 1. There's no universe where I could realistically drop Pittman. I'd be much more likely to drop Watson than I would be to drop Pittman. You want to do your thing where you read stats. Pittman's the wide receiver 15 on the year. I know it's ugly as hell how he's doing it, but it's there. It's happening. It's all happening. And now it's Minshew for the season, so we don't have to worry about the Richardson conversation anymore. We can be done with that. let's see here. I would add Pickens and I would drop Watson. Would I start Pickens over any of the guys that you've got on here? No. That would be my advice. I would cut Watson and add Pickens because Deontay Johnson's not playing this week. So Deontay goes away.
The Packers are a tire fire.
Right. We pick up Pickens. We cut Watson because he's hurt, and they're a tire fire. It's really easy. I'm never going to give up Pittman, given what he's done so far. And then the question becomes, Neil, would you realistically play Pittman and Downs? I have been. You feel gross about it, but it keeps working. I'm not stopping it because it continues to work. Last week, that was 35 points on 2 players. You really going to argue with me about this? Like, Pittman's been the 15 on the year, and he was like wide receiver 14 last week. And Downs was better than that. I don't claim to understand it, but it continues to work. Garrett Wilson or Godwin? Wilson.
Definitely Wilson.
Yeah,
better
Wilson.
matchup. All the targets.
Yeah. Good evening, Polo.
Welcome, Polo.
I see Polo caught the tail end of this conversation. He did slide on one leg, but you don't count because I suspect that you're our age. Because you told us that you had to go pick your wife up from book club, and nobody under 35 has to do that. That just doesn't exist. Like, so you're kind of telling on yourself a little bit, Polo. If you were under 35 and you're picking your wife up from book club, what kind of Pleasantville life do you lead? Like, it
sounds like you lived in Delaware.
Also, I'm referencing Pleasantville, which further dates myself. No one knows what that is if you're under 30. No one knows. Do the kids know who Topher Grace is?
Well, yeah, he's Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, I guess well, those are older movies. Like they've remade Spider-Man about 5 times for that reason. Like
that 90s show.
Well, that was that. Dad. Was he on that 90s show as the dad?
Yeah, short period, but yeah.
You think I forgot about that? I got a memory like a steel trap. Like, I think the kids would like Plank in the inflatable 2-man show. I think we would do better. I think the views would go up. I think also if we just did that on Sundays, people would tune in by the hundreds to be like, "Oh my god, spit out fantasy takes!" Like, this is a tough one. Need one: Latavius, Algier, Stronginger. We got to answer this quick too. I like Strong off this list. I'm thinking
just because Hunt's been dealing with a hammy of his own.
Yeah, I like Strong off this list. Strong or Algier. I'm avoiding Latavius on a Thursday night, so get that out of there. And then Ingram is terrifying.
Oh, thigh. Sorry, Hunt's dealing with a thigh injury.
Either way, it doesn't matter. It's a leg. Just call it leg. Like it's
lower half.
Ingram, no. Latavius, no, not tonight. And it's Algier or Strong. So you're making this decision on Sunday anyway. So you get the luxury of checking the practice reports. If Hunt can't go, Strong is very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
That's a good matchup for the run.
It is. Okay, yeah. Here, we'll finish that. Finish that thought because I like where you're going. Do I suspect you did this on Monday. I was busy. I didn't get to watch it. I suspect this is a holdover from Monday, but go ahead.
It wasn't because we were talking about Hunt being the guy that I would like more, but this is actually a really good matchup for whoever the running back is for the Browns, especially with the case that PJ has been checking it down to the running back. It's a good matchup because, surprisingly, Seahawks haven't been great against the run. I don't know why that should surprise you. They have a really good run offense. Their defense can't stop it. I think it has something to do with trying to tackle Walker. Seems to be the same issue with like the Titans, for example, trying to tackle Henry. But
the problem is now Walker's on the injury report.
Correct.
Practice for
Charbonnet.
We were going to get into that at some point. We were going to get there at some point.
But yeah,
Charbonnet might be interesting, but he's also questionable. So now I don't know what's going on over there. It's a whole disaster.
And Dallas isn't there anymore.
Yeah, which is weird. It's all weird. I don't know who's playing running back for them this week. Could be you. As for all I know, it's Jason. He might get the call. Like, that's a whole mess they got going on over there. All right, and then this is not a Thursday night question, but we'll do it real quick. Dynasty trade value for Quentin Johnson. It's not what it was. It's getting bad. It's getting worse by the day.
You might have to wait and see how it goes this week.
I think it's pretty minimal. I think it's pretty minimal. And the problem is that you're kind of stuck because like Josh Downs' trade value in Dynasty is to the moon, right? And is like off the charts. But Quentin Johnson hasn't done anything. And this is a good one. You might want to wait because Palmer is now beat up. If this is, they're gonna have to try and get him involved because they were more than content to just throw the ball to Palmer and just roll it out that way. But now they don't have that luxury because I don't know if Palmer's playing this week. It's looking iffy on on him even being available. So you got to figure that they're going to have to. You got to figure that they're going to have to figure out something with Johnson. But he's had a really slow start to his NFL career, and they don't seem to want to trust him yet. And this is another one where a coaching change might actually help you because that offense is not running in a way that is going to keep people employed. that's gonna get people fired. You got way too many weapons to be that bad. You can't be that bad. I know your O-line's bad, Jason. I know they're bad.
The O-line is better than it has been.
It doesn't matter. It's still bad.
The issue is still our defense.
That's not helping. But you got Herbert running for his life out there. And that's just a bad look. It looks bad. The optics are bad. Can't have my franchise quarterback running for his life and picking himself up off the ground. Can't do it.
Again, the issue is we have one bad guard and the center. We lost our center.
That doesn't help you, but I'm just saying, like, it's not relevant to the point I'm making, which is that's going to get people fired. Like, so they got to do something.
Yeah, we need a new medical staff. I've been saying this for years.
Well, that's a decades-old problem, sir. Ask Tyrod Taylor about that problem. He probably had to sign an NDA, so you can't. As part of his settlement, I bet he had to sign an NDA to get that check. So you might not be able to ask him that question, and he'll answer it in a real way. But it's not great. There was also the documentary they did about some of that where they were talking about it. Very negative. So you got this weird situation where I think his value is maybe like a second or third round pick in next year's draft. And that's not a lot. That's not great. That's not great. I think maybe you could get a second or a third. In terms of if you want a player, oh boy. Nothing? Not good. Like, here, hang on. I'll tell you what we'll do. I'll tell you what we'll do here. We're going to consult Fantasy Pros because we do that periodically. Shout out to Fantasy Pros. I love working with them. Oh, there you go. There you go. I think Quentin Johnson's value, there's some good comps on here. I think Quentin Johnson's value is basically like on your best day, I think you could maybe get like DeAndre Hopkins because DeAndre Hopkins has no value long term. And that depends on who's rostering DeAndre Hopkins. Is that a good team or a bad team? Because they might want DeAndre Hopkins if they're trying to win. Other notable names that are in the neighborhood, you might be able to convince somebody to give you Jahan Dotson, given how poorly that's been going. I know you won't agree with that, but I could see that it depends on how people feel about Jahan Dotson. Some people might be done with
it. They don't. Yeah, the issue with that is they aren't using him.
I know, but that's not
his fault.
That's not his fault. That's his situation. I think you might be able to get Roshan Johnson. I think you might be able to get Kendre Miller. Jameson Williams might be doable theoretically because that's like my problems for your problems. You see my point? This is not really stuff I want. It's not really things that I'm interested in. I'm more inclined to hold on to Quentin Johnson, hope that it starts to get better, and then try to see if he can move up a little bit and then flip him then. Because this feels like selling at a loss. It depends how badly you want Quentin Johnson off your roster right now. Because I think there's no way that you could realistically argue that you're not selling it like near the bottom of his value. Unless you think this could get worse.
Herbert is missing some throws that he shouldn't right now. And he is getting stuck on reads. He's focusing on one guy. I know it's not ideal, but there's a lot of issues that he is having that makes me more worried that it's there's too much pressure on him, and the fact that they said that Staley has kind of lost the locker room also makes me.
Yeah, because he's getting fired.
Well, doesn't matter if you've already ruined. I mean, if you have nobody who you're going to be able to listen to, like, not a good look. It makes me very nervous.
It's all bad. It's all bad, and this is why I'm saying I have to believe that better days are ahead for Quentin Johnson.
Depends on who we get as the new coach.
Yeah, but you're gonna have to wait. You either gotta wait this out, or you're cutting bait at what I think is not a great value, honestly. Because I don't really want Jameson Williams. If I'm being totally brutal about it, I don't want the things that I feel like I could get. I don't want Jameson Williams. I don't want Kendre Miller. If someone was willing to offer me Tajay Spears, I would take that. I don't really want Roshan Johnson. I don't know that anybody would give you anything that's much more valuable than that. Like, would you take Miles Sanders? This is where it gets hard because I need to know what kind of team you have. Are you trying to win, or are you trying to amass assets for the future?
Yeah, you just really have to hope that he has a big game.
And my point is, there's two modes
to show signs of life.
There's two modes really in Dynasty. You're either accumulating, or you're trying to win now. And if I'm trying to win now, Quentin Johnson has no value, so I would take DeAndre Hopkins or something like that because I don't care beyond the next year or two.
Well, they also if I'm accumulating, they're shopping Hopkins.
Right. Well, but if they're shopping everything. If you're accumulating because you're not really going to try and win, I'd probably be more inclined just to hold on to Quentin Johnson. And I don't really want to take a second round pick because that's just the same thing. So that's kind of where we're at. So I hope that was helpful, Torian Eagle. I know you play a lot of Dynasty. Feel free to post this question in the Discord.
Yeah.
Because people will have opinions on this. I promise you, there will be opinions. You will get both Mikes talking to you about this, especially Mike Berlin. Mike Berlin will be as animated as Jason is here, maybe less depressed. I feel as though this topic has depressed him. Even his little collar on his polo started drooping when we started talking about the Chargers. Olave or Thielen, half PPR. It's Thielen. This is not. That's why I didn't even bother. This is not hard. That's Thielen. Have Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that this is redraft. And I'm also going to assume PPR. That is not enough. Not enough, sir. You could do better.
Especially since that tanks. Well, I guess it doesn't kill you, but it makes it really tough at running back.
His running backs are good. He's got Hall. He's got both Colts. But you are in a situation there where I don't like where that leaves you, and you could do better than Jacobs, than Laporta. Things that I think
Laporta and something.
Yeah, that's not enough.
What
do I think I could get
Sutton?
for Josh Jacobs? Oh, I would take that, but I don't know. That's not really productive because I don't know what the guy who has Laporta also has. You know what I mean?
I know.
But if you want to go out and start making your own trades, then sure. But I think you could get Mark Andrews for Josh Jacobs. You know what I mean? You could go up on the tight end scale a bit in the background. It just depends on what people are willing to do. Fine. You don't like that? I think you could probably get it's hard to do this in position. Well, I think you could get Chris Olave. Your struggles for my struggles.
And again, well, the issue we always have is we don't know what your league is. I don't know which one of these it is, if it's your weird one where you can only hold a certain amount of players or not.
That's Jose.
Oh, that's right.
That's a different person entirely.
Well, I thought he had a weird one too.
No,
where
he plays in a different weird league, but it's not the position limits league.
Okay. But
that's Jose. Trust me. Trust me.
Also,
it's seared into my memory. I will remember that 3 years after I'm dead. That's how that's gonna go. So that's where we're at.
Yeah. If you're shopping Jacobs, you need to look at teams that need.
They need running back and can offer you something that is either a lesser running back or is like a wide receiver. Or if you want a tight end, go up. You can get a better tight end than that. I think you could get I know Jacobs has been bad, but given how desperate people are for running back,
Especially with the buys coming up.
With the
like
buys
big
coming
buys.
up, I feel like you could get some sort of wide receiver. I think you could get Olave. Like, I'm not even kidding. I think you could get an Olave. I think you could get a you might not be able to get Waddle. That's probably too high.
What about Adams?
Yeah, I think you might be able to get Adams. Maybe not Adams, but you could certainly get your
Same
boyfriend
team.
Jacoby
Just
Myers.
go for the
Like,
same team.
you could easily get your boyfriend Jacoby Myers. I wouldn't do that, but I know Jason might. You could get Nico Collins and something. You could probably get Michael Pittman straight up. Because people irrationally hate Michael Pittman.
It's not irrational.
No, it's very irrational. They can't do math. You could get DJ Moore. I wouldn't want Devonta Smith, but you could get him. That would be easy. You might be able to get Devonta Smith and something, given how bad that's been. You could probably, if you don't think you could get Hawkinson, I bet. Like, that's probably a thing you could do. You're punching too low, is my point, Polo. Don't take that deal. Go make your own trades. Oh, Daniel's here.
Hey, welcome, Daniel.
Oh boy, okay.
That'll work.
So traded Njoku for sure. My QBs were it's probably not bad. Waller and oh boy.
Waller. I would prefer Waller and
I'm taking that.
for sure.
I'm taking that deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm taking that deal right now. Go take that deal right now before they realize what they've just done and rescind it. It's not that much of a downgrade from Lamb to Amon-Ra. In fact, some could argue that it's not a downgrade at all. So, yeah, it says, and I was just offered. So that means he's getting Waller and Amon-Ra. Take it. I take that deal right now.
So, is this the one we helped him with?
Yeah, it's this league.
Nice. Good job, Daniel.
If I don't do Waller, do that deal. Do that deal, and then you can cut Taysom Hill. You don't need him anymore. Somebody else will pick him up, but I'm not carrying 3 tight ends. I'm not carrying 3 tight ends, bro. So which one? I know,
but are you waiting to see with Juwan back if it changes his role, or are you just cutting him? Because I kind of like how he's been playing.
I don't know that I super care. You could cut Ferguson or Hill. Take your pick. Whichever one you want to cut. Like, it makes no difference to me. Like, I feel like that's just a coin flip. Because in reality, you're never going to want to roster 3 tight ends. You want to make that decision every week. Am I going to play Waller or Ferguson or Taysom Hill? You want to sit there and figure that out every Sunday? Because I don't have that kind of brain power, bro. I got stuff to do. Like, I got other lineups to set. I got like real stuff to work on. And I'm sure Dan does. I'm sure Daniel does too. Daniel's got to work. Daniel's got a job. He's got to deal with his uncle showing up on his doorstep. Like, we got real problems here. Like, I ain't got time figuring that out. Like, I ain't carrying 3 tight ends. So it's like you're either going to keep Waller and Ferguson or Waller and Taysom, but you're trading for Waller. So the only way I'm keeping 3 tight ends is if I have something on my team that is utter roster garbage. There you go. Boom. All right, decision made. Yeah, no, you got to take this deal. And I would do this now while you're watching this, but don't let that wait until tomorrow. That guy might wake up and realize that's not a great idea. That's not he might wake up and be like, that's not a great idea. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I don't understand it. It's a score. Okay. That threw me for a second, Polo. I don't remember what we're doing here. All right. Cool. Good. Keep that coming. It's a shame they didn't score with a proper touchdown. That's okay. All right. Well, Jason, while we wait for more questions to come in, because I learned something today. I did not know that Taysom Hill was a Mormon. Good for him. Why don't we do while we wait for more questions, why don't we do tight end start of the week?
It's tough because everybody's playing.
I'm sorry, quarterback. I said tight end. I'm thinking about tight end.
But again, it's tough because everybody's active. There's no buys this week. So I'm really struggled here. I'm going to take Desmond Ritter versus the Titans. The fact that they're playing against Willis and Levis just doesn't give me any hope for that offense. The fact that Ritter has actually been throwing it decently enough to pretty much everybody, it seems, and has had a couple of good weeks makes me more trustworthy. I don't know if that's quite the right word, but I believe in him more, especially in this matchup. The fact that Hopkins is also potentially out makes it even more enticing. And in a game that they should be able to do whatever they want because the Titans are just not what they used to be and what they're expected to be. I'm okay rolling him out. Don't have a whole lot of conviction in this one.
No, I could see.
You looked at the list and saw what the ACR is. I'm like, ew.
Oh, this is a totally different.
No.
Do not do that.
No.
Absolutely do not do that.
Yeah.
100% pass on that. In fact, send him a garbage trade offer. Send him something horrible. Like send him Taysom Hill for his best player. Like do not do that. That's not even close to enough. That's not even remotely close. That's insulting.
That is not the same thing.
I am offended. I am offended by that. That is, sir, you offend me. You have wasted my time and forced me to read this. And how dare you? Like, absolutely not. God, I would have smashed that Amon-Ra trade so hard.
Yeah, that makes it no. I get it because it still kind of makes sense with Murray coming back, but
I would have smashed that like Aubrey Plaza bringing me Chick-fil-A. Oh my God, the things I would have done to that. The things I would have done to that are not suitable for a PG-13 broadcast. That is now I am upset. My disappointment is immeasurable and my day is ruined. That is a nightmare. Good. That's what he deserves. That's what he deserves. That is a waste of everyone's time, and I am. What is that stupid meme? You were not even close to correct. We are all now dumber for having heard this. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul. Like that. That is.
Do you know what it's
That's
from?
how I feel. That is how I feel about that. That is Hollywood and Waller. Get out of here for Lamb. You must be on bath salts. That is not even close to the same thing. God, that is upsetting. If he would have accidentally offered me that, by the way, with Amon-Ra, I'd have smashed it and been like, veto it down. Let's go. Like, I'm getting the pitchforks and torches out. Like, you're playing 11 leagues. You can always quit one. Do you work at Topgolf, Daniel? I assume you work at Topgolf. You said it was a work league. I assume you work at Topgolf. Like,
which kind of makes me jealous because I really like Topgolf.
I live 5 minutes from a Topgolf. I've never been. I could walk to that Topgolf. I've never been to it. I play real golf, so I feel like it would just annoy me.
It's fun just because, especially since you live in a cold area. It's usually heated. They have you can go through.
We have other heated driving ranges. I mean, it's Denver. Like it's.
I know, but it's like sporting. They bring you food, drinks. It's more of a relax.
Okay.
If you actually like the people you work with, you could do like a work.
My issue is I could hit a golf ball over that fence so easily that I feel like I would just be playing with a pitching wedge the whole night because with like a 7-iron I could rip a golf ball out of the back end of that fence. I've seen where that fence is, and I'm like, that is not far enough.
It's only like 315, I think, so it's not that far, but
maybe it's further than when you're actually standing there. Because I've looked at that and I'm like, dude, I could easily hit a golf ball over this. Like that's not a problem. And then I've also heard that if you accidentally do, that they hold you liable for that. And I'm like, yeah, I would make that rule too. How else would I get insured? So, because you're going to have people like me that are going to be like, I'm going to hit this golf ball over the mountains. Watch this. Like, trying to impress my colleagues. And it's not even going to be hard. Like, it doesn't look like it's that far. Anyway, we went off the rails on this show, Jason, 6 seconds into it. I'm setting a speed record tonight for how fast I can go off the rails. I feel like I have ADD. Today has not been an easy day at work, and I feel like I have ADD today because of it. Like I'm just not sharp the way that I normally am. So I apologize to everyone who actually tuned into this. Polo, I think, is enjoying it because he enjoys my 3 lines of logic that don't fully connect to anything. The my thing for start is it's weird because he has a terrible matchup, but it's Gardner Minshew. It's going to be Minshew. It's a terrible, terrible, terrible matchup. So I'm not expecting the rushing.
Did so well against the Browns.
I'm not expecting the rushing touchdowns, but I kind of don't care because they're going to be losing that game so aggressively that he's going to have to do something. And I just feel like, how can he not get 20 points? That's all I want. All I want is a 20. I feel like that's very doable here. He put up 32 last week. Not expecting that. Feel like a 20 is very doable here. Yes! Yes, the accepted Wandale for Swift. Let's go! This is why we send terrible trade offers out of spite. This is why we do things like that. Because people don't read. I have all the data in the world, Jason, that suggests that it proves to me that people do not read. Why do you think we're an audio-only website now? We used to do all written content all day, and we would occasionally do a show. And now we don't write nothing. Because ain't nobody read nothing anymore. Here, Daniel,
Oh, God.
Pardon my reach.
What is he doing? Oh, jeez.
Daniel, you get a strike, sir. Oh, there it is. You get a strike. Good job. By the way, tabletop mini bowling, great for parties.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, he'd have to be. He'd have to be. That is hilarious. It's probably going to get vetoed, and this is all for nothing.
But that's still funny.
But it's still funny. It's still funny. I would give that guy a huge amount of crap.
Everybody know too.
I would give that guy a huge amount of crap, and also like, yeah, he's big. Do go on. Really. All right, Jason. Who's your? Well, I pick up all the bowling pins that I scattered all over my floor. Who's your? Look, I'm trying to work the props in. Okay, I got all kinds of props. We never use them. I mean, hell, I have other props. I have this hourglass. Like we could time people on. Like I have all manner of fun props that we never use because we just spend all our time rambling about nothing.
Because it's what we're good at.
Yeah, I know. So while we get back to on theme, go ahead and do sit of the week at quarterback.
It's Kirk Cousins versus the Packers. I just really don't think he's going to have to do a whole lot. You're really hoping that he breaks 200 yards passing and gets 2 passing touchdowns. It's just really hard to believe that this Packers defense, especially without Jair Alexander potentially, and just the fact that that offense seems to be in shambles, makes me super nervous about playing Cousins in a game that he won't have to do much, especially after he just had to work his butt off on Monday to get something done to somehow win a game. So I can't bring myself to play Cousins this week.
Okay.
I have to in our XFL.
Detail on these little bowling pins, by the way. The lighting's not great for this because it's too close to the camera, but they even took the time to paint the little stripes on them. And these are all wooden, by the way. They're not plastic. This was supposedly a white elephant gift, and I'm like, you're all stupid. That's not a white elephant gift. That's just something I want. That's just something I want in my house. Like, it's awesome. I have people come over, like, they see it, and they're like, ooh, this is fun. Because it has a... I lost a little bowling ball. I'll find it later. It has a little, like, bowling ball, too, that's made of metal. It looks
really like a pinball.
It is kind of like a pinball. It's a little smaller than a pinball. Yeah, my sit of the week. That's it's hard to want to sit Cousins after
what he just did. Yeah.
He just shoved it in people's faces and kind of rubbed their noses in it a little bit. So I get that it's a little hard. Mine is Joe Burrow for obvious reasons that are obvious. They're playing the 49ers. That team hasn't been right all year. Their O-line is bad. And the 49ers are, I think, going to exercise some demons because they've been embarrassed the last 2 weeks, losing games they should have won. They lost a game on a missed field goal. Okay, random things are random in football. Then
And
they lost.
They also are starting Sam Darnold more likely.
Right, and they lost to Kirk. Yeah, so they're gonna. I think that defense is gonna be asked to step up, and I think they will. I don't think they're gonna make it easy on Burrow. I'm not expecting a huge game for Burrow. If Burrow does have a huge game, there are going to be questions that will be asked all week about that because the 49ers will have lost 3 in a row. I get that there are problems, but you can't lose 3 in a row. And they effectively lost on a missed field goal and a 60-yard touchdown where Jordan Addison ripped the ball out of Travarius Ward's hands. That's the difference in those two games. Random things are random. Football is ultimately somewhat random. There are things you can predict and things you can't, but that's why would they actually have to play the games? Otherwise, they would just do this all on the Madden simulator, and the season would be over in 6 hours, and they would award the prize money. So, let's see here. Jason, go ahead and go right into running back for me.
So I'm giving you 2 because you usually complain about my first one. But I
would complain no matter what you say. How long have we worked together? Like I would probably complain no matter what you said, just for the memes.
My first one is Dameon Pierce versus the Panthers. Again, running backs are doing very well against the Panthers. This is an opportunity for him. They're coming off their bye, theoretically healthy. The fact that they also are losing potentially Robert Woods this week, Dell is back. Just seems like there's a lot of opportunities. My only worry for him is really the fact that they were using Singletary a little more in the last game, but I'm not sure if that's going to carry over after the bye. But it's a great matchup, and I mean, it doesn't seem like they're going to have to do a whole lot to just absolutely trounce this Panthers team.
Did you have a second one?
Yeah, it's Tajay Spears versus the Falcons. It's a little more difficult, but pass catching still there. Not quite. I'm assuming that they're going to try and feature Henry because they want to ship him off and show that he still has gas. But in the chance that they aren't, without Hopkins, they need another weapon. Burks is potentially back, but he's coming back from injury, and who actually knows? So Spears going to see what he continues to do and somehow put up 10 fantasy points because that's what he likes to do.
For me, it's I like the Texans one just because the matchup is so good. That's why people keep talking about Singletary, because it's somebody on the Texans should do something. I don't know what, but if there was ever a week, you're playing Carolina, it's the best matchup you can have. So I can't really argue with you about that too much. For me, it's as I've dubbed him, Amario De Mercario, because that's just how it reads in my head. But no, Amari DiMercato is who it is, and it's the most frustrating thing in the universe. Has a good game, sees all the usage. Keontae Ingram comes back, they just bench DiMercato. Keontae Ingram has a serviceable game, but not a great game. They realize the mistake they've made. He sees no touches last week, and it's all DiMercato again. So this is really weird, and it's going to be hard to trust it. But from what we've seen so far, if it is Amari DiMercato, you're looking at 10 fantasy points in PPR. Yeah. When he gets over 70% of the usage, it's 10 fantasy points. He's pretty efficient. Frankly, they should be playing him because he's a rookie. And that's just what you should be doing because you got to figure out what you have while Connor is still down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when Connor comes back,
and you know what you have in Ingram.
Right. You know what Ingram is. It's a plotter. It's a guy. It's a body. With DiMercato, it's like, well, I know he was a 4th round draft pick or whatever, but you got to see what you have. Because I could see him being a real serviceable backup to Connor. And then there's the idea that James Conner's contract is up with them at the end of the year. So there is that idea that you might want to see what you have for the future. So, real quick before we get into sits, do we think Mostert is out? No. Is there any backup I like in Miami? Wilson, as I will continue to repeat over and over and over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah, still don't think he was ready to go last week, so
no, not quite.
That's still the one I want.
When Achane comes back, this is going to get really hard to figure out, and it's going to really hurt my little thinker. There's going to be a little smoke coming out of there, and it already is operating at maximum overdrive. I don't know how much more I can take. All right, real quick, who's your sit?
It's just terrifying. Oh, for running back. Josh Jacobs versus the Lions.
Okay, I'd argue with you. I'd argue with you about this too, but I can't.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very tough matchup. The fact that they aren't using to his full potential or like they should, I have no idea what is going on with that team and not just feeding this man like he should be, especially in great matchups. This isn't a great matchup, so it's even worse for him.
This is the one where he's going to catch like 5 dump offs.
Yep, and just
this is absolutely the one where it finally happens, and I'm going to be livid all day Sunday. I'm going to be
100%. That's why I do this, you know.
Yeah, I'm going to be in the angry dome all day on Sunday when that inevitably happens.
Yeah,
I get where you're going with that, though. It makes a lot of sense. it makes a ton of sense in the background. It's tough this week because everybody's playing.
Yep.
I've got a cheap shot all locked and loaded against Alexander Madison, so we're just going to get that out of the way real quick. Great matchup. Alexander Madison is losing his job to Cam Akers. Watch it happen. It's been coming for weeks, and it's finally starting to happen. And he's still being rated as an RB2, and no. So I just had to get my cheap shot out of the way real quick. And then the other one that is also screaming on the page to me is Kareem Hunt. Just because he's beat up. But the problem with all of this is that even in a bad matchup, if he's playing, you're probably not going to be able to sit him. I'm a little nervous about it with him being beat up, and it's not a great matchup against Seattle. Really, what bails him out is the pass catching. So it just scares me. And then the other one that's probably more like actionable is I'm really nervous for Joe Mixon. If they're getting beaten on, look, if Joe Mixon scores early, you're really, if you're playing Mixon and you probably have to, you are praying for an early touchdown. You kind of need the early touchdown. You kind of need that early touchdown. That's what's going on. Pickens or Ayuk? Oh, Ayuk, baby.
Yeah, probably. The thing is, we don't know who Darnold likes. I'm assuming it's going to be Ayuk, but it could very easily be Kittle.
Yeah, but Ayuk is like a high-end wide receiver 2, and Pickens is like a low-end wide receiver 2 type of deal. Like I'm going for Ayuk. And it might be Kittle, but we don't know. Is Deebo Samuel playing? Is another question that I have. Like, I get the question, but I'm still rolling with Ayuk. Yeah, that's my point.
He literally, Madison had better carries the entire night.
Yeah, but you want to explain how logic works to the Vikings? Because good luck. That's like trying to explain particle physics to a particle. Like it's happening, whether anybody likes it or not, and I do for the memes. Just for the memes. Just for the lulz. I like it. I don't care in reality. Like, but for the memes, it's phenomenal. But for the comedy element, if you're in this for the comedy element, like I am to a point, like it's hysterical. It's absolutely hysterical.
Hate it.
Remember when Ty Chandler was a thing? Oh God, it's so good. Like, God, the Vikings are idiots. Oh, just it's all that purple. It screws with your ability to make decisions. See, it is like a pinball. I timed that expertly just to break Jason. Like I waited long enough to where we would have forgotten about it, and then waited just to use it as a punchline. It's I've offered no usable advice tonight, but I am on fire for the comedy element of the show. I am killing it tonight. Let's check in on this game real quick.
Oh my gosh. This is annoying.
Game.
Guess who is leading the Bills wide receivers?
Well, if you're asking me that question, then it's not Stephon Diggs. So, oh, fun.
What the heck is going on? I hate it.
Well, they're probably triple covering Stephon Diggs in the background there. End of the first quarter, it's 3-0. Cook hasn't done much. If you're looking for an update on that, Diggs is third in their wide receiver room. I'm not watching this obviously because I can't do the show and watch this. Allen's having a pretty good night. so far. He's dealing. They must be triple covering Stephon Diggs in that game in order to try and make them beat them with somebody else.
And they're going to be able to do it pretty easily.
Well, it's working.
Yeah.
And it's working. So that's fun. All right, so we're 1 quarter in. That's a disaster. Already a disaster.
Bucks receiving.
Yeah. That is a hot mess. All right. That is an utter disaster already. That's fun. Let's see here. Jason, who's your wide receiver start of the week?
I really struggled because there's so many good ones.
Yeah, everybody's playing. It's hard.
My favorite is still going to be Downs versus the Saints. Love how he's being
I can't
used.
believe he still qualifies for this conversation. It's getting closer, by the way. It's getting closer. He's getting to the point where he's not going to qualify for this conversation anymore.
And I'm hoping that happens because he's so good. He's getting the targets. He's able to break off those long plays. He's scoring. I mean, the projections right now said it over the last 3 games that you were projected out is going to be like 1,400 yards and 11 touchdowns, which is just insane to me. And the guy absolutely, as a rookie, is just smashing it. Another easy one, Tank Dell versus the Panthers. I mean,
yeah, he's fallen off. We were doing that on Tuesday. He dropped under 50% rostered, so he was a waiver claim this week, which was interesting.
Because of the bye and then
the concussion. He missed a game and then the bye, so it took 2 weeks and everybody already forgot about it.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny, actually.
So, and then Christian Watson, because, Love has to throw to somebody, and he continues to. I know it's uglier, but those are all.
Ew! All good options. You actually believe that? Oh my!
Love keeps looking at him.
Oh, ew. Okay. I agree with the first two. You're gonna have to work a lot harder than that little narrative to sell me on Watson. For me, it's I'm going right back to the well from where I was last week. And he's been on the Tuesday show the last couple weeks. It's Kendrick Bourne. Boy, it's ugly, and boy, do I not care.
Coming back.
Yeah, and boy, do I just not care. Like, don't care. Juju has been terrible all year. He's been slow. He looks old. He looks hurt. And also, he's not. Mac Jones isn't looking at him. Mac Jones is just throwing up 10 targets a game. I went through this on Tuesday.
Demario Douglas.
Over the last 2 weeks, Bourne is averaging 9 targets. Okay, if you're averaging 9 targets, we had this conversation last year. If you're averaging 9 targets, you are not a flex. You are a wide receiver 2. If you go through that list, anybody who averages 9 targets, I don't care how bad your team is. I don't care how bad the quarterback play is. I don't care that Bill Belichick looks washed. None of that matters. All that matters is that if you average 9 targets, you are a wide receiver 2. So I don't care. They're playing and by the way, for the cherry on top, they're playing Miami. So they're going to be losing by 40. So I am all in on the Kendrick Bourne train here for another week. It's been great. So yeah, get all the Kendrick Bourne shares while you can. He's still under 50% rostered. I don't know what more they have to do. He's rocking like a 14-point average to go with that. Again, if you're averaging 14 points, you're a wide receiver 2. Sorry. Math is math, people. I know it's ugly. I know nobody wants the Patriots. I know it's all bad, but math is math, and that's just how it is. So it's really, really stupid. But until Bourne falls off a cliff, he is borderline starting. He should be starting for your team. I would need to see your team to see who you're starting over Bourne.
Well, and that's why it's also hard to, for example, Hollywood Brown.
Yeah.
His targets are absolutely horrible, but he's seeing so many of them. It's very
difficult. It makes it difficult. It makes it difficult, and that's kind of the problem. You want that usage,
but they're so bad.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great feeling. You can wrap yourself up in it. You slather yourself up in it like it's baby oil. It's fantastic.
And if he drops off a cliff this week, make sure you go and grab Demario Douglas.
Or you just cut him and move on because you've invested nothing, so it doesn't matter. Like, we'll do sets in a second.
No.
Mm,
They're they're okay, but they also, I mean, it's because everybody can run on them.
I don't want to do this in a week where everybody's playing. I have to double check my rankings. No, I don't have them anywhere close to starting territory.
Oh, the actual defense. I thought he was talking about because of it says 4 wide receivers, so I was assuming that's what.
No, he's talking about would you. I think he means real, by the way, and not red. I think red is an autocorrect. I think what the question is Yahoo and Sleeper has Panthers as a real defense for receivers. Y'all really think they're bad against receivers? I mean, they're a bad defense in general.
Yeah, they're the worst fantasy defense right now.
Yeah, they're a really bad defense. Start anybody you have against the Panthers. That's becoming the new mantra. If you have people playing against the Panthers, you play them. And that's just kind of how it goes.
Usually it's your RB, then the wide receiver 1. The wide receiver 2 is like a flex.
Yeah, exactly.
Also,
and the worst thing about the Panthers matchups is if your people don't score by the third quarter, they might not because the game might be over.
Yeah, they might just be running.
It's as nice of a surprise as the Panthers defense was last year down the stretch where they were actually like competent and serviceable. They are equally as bad this year. It's going the other way this time around. Panthers are real bad.
Well, and this is also a great narrative because Stroud versus Young.
Yeah. It is that will be a fun game from that angle. If you're into the football narratives, you have the high price rookies squaring off this week. The way I initially read that question was, should I pick up the Carolina defense? And I'm like, under no circumstances should you pick up the Carolina defense. There is no universe where. Do you play in a 30-team league? Because even then, I'm struggling. Can I not play a defense? Am I allowed? Okay, let's go back to the actual show. Who's your sit of the week, Jason?
DK Metcalf versus the Browns.
Guys, I haven't had to accuse you of cheating until now, but we're working our way there. You're getting very close, sir.
I know. It's just that he's been so bad even when he's been playing.
I know, but he's been beat up, and that's why I'm accusing you of cheating because he didn't even play last week. We're gonna take a dump on him because he's hurt.
Yeah. I mean, the Browns. The Browns are also very upset about.
No, the Browns are also a legitimate defense, by the way.
Yeah,
let's not.
Which is also why I'm bringing him up, is because I don't think you can start him. And
boo! Boo! I hate it. It's not your fault, Polo. It's not your fault. It's the stupid Bills' fault. Thanks, I hate it. That's my reaction to that. Thanks, I hate it. Hated every. I not only hated that sentence, I hated every individual letter that made up that sentence. I now hate the letter T. I hate the letter B. I'm the opposite of Bert and Ernie from Sesame Street. I'm not going to teach you those letters. I'm going to teach you the opposite of them. I got some letters that I actually don't hate. One is F. I think you can autofill the rest of them. K is in there. The letter U is in there. A, J, Sean. Sean's not a letter, but this bit is wearing thin, and I've got to wrap it up. Jason's totally lost what we were doing before that. Nope, I've just totally fried him. Like, you were talking about DK Metcalf, sir.
Oh yeah, and the matchup just being horrible,
and the Browns being a good defense,
and the fact that, like you said, he's beat up. That whole team kind of is beat up. Yeah, I'm not hopeful. The person I'm most hopeful for is actually Jason, because he looked pretty good last week.
I thought you were going to go Bobo. You want more Bobo?
I like Bobo.
Yeah, you want more Bobo? You got to do more Bobo. More Bobo is not a fantasy thing, people. I'm tired of this stupid question. What about Bobo? Do you pick up Bobo? No, you don't pick up Bobo. Like, for God's sake. In order to pick up Bobo, 40 people would need to be on IR that are not on IR, and then, yeah. Like,
what about Powell?
I'm not interested in Powell either. Like, that's... Powell, if I played in, like, a 16-team league, then we'll talk about Powell. I'm gonna need to be playing in a 16-team league with deep benches, and then we can talk about Powell. He looked serviceable. He looked like a real NFL player. This is as nice as I'm prepared to be about it. He played for the
Compared
Rams,
to
right? That's the same guy who
Osborne?
played for the Rams last year, right?
Yeah.
Same dude?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Just want to make sure I'm not going crazy. Like, not about this, at least. Oh, that's a prop I need. Do the Halloween show in a straitjacket. I could buy one of those at Spirit Halloween. Should have had this thought like a week ago. I'm sorry. I'm doing the thing where we do the pre-show meeting live on the show. That's how Steve and I used to work. You just do the pre-show meeting on the show. Like you don't even bother having a pre-show meeting. You just show up and do that.
Oh,
Basically, we used to make a list of things that we shouldn't do, and then we would just do that list. That's how that would work. DK Metcalf does not need your assault, sir. Does not need it.
Well, who are you going after then? There's a couple other ones that I was interested in, but I'm like, it's.
This is always a little rough with, when everybody plays. You know what I mean? And it's very easy to fall into taking cheap shots at people like Deontay Johnson, Josh Palmer. It's very hard to fault them for having bones. Like it's like you have bones. Ooh, grody. Like, ew. Like, how dare you? Like that's the cheap shot thing. So you got to resist that temptation here. I have a different one. I have one that is not actionable because you will start him anyway because you will not have a better choice. And it's CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb has a brutal matchup against the Rams. His usage has been really wonky. I don't trust Dak right now. That team is coming off a bye, so if you want to hang your hat on something, they've had an extra week to game plan. But the Cowboys have looked terrible. Just terrible. And that's part of it. So there is the narrative based idea that this might be a get right game for Lamb, but he does not have a good matchup. I say this because I also warned everybody before I even got in there. It's not actionable because you will play Lamb anyway, no matter what I say. But
I am Waddle and Smith.
Yeah, you will not have a better option than that. So you're going to end up playing them anyway. But I am a little nervous, if that makes sense. I have a cheap shot for this as well, which is Calvin Ridley. Yeah, kick him in the ribs when he's down. Get him when he's down. But yeah, Calvin Ridley is one that screams off the page like there's no universe where after putting up a 1.5 last week that I could play Calvin Ridley. When in a week where everybody's playing, my wide receivers would have to be horrible for me to roll Calvin Ridley back out there. He's kind of in my doghouse until we see something different. Similarly, and this is weird because I've also been – this is where two things can be true simultaneously. It's T. Higgins. I'm nervous about playing T. Higgins this week, but I'm also advocating trading for T. Higgins as part of my playoff rosters. Two things can be true. Not super thrilled about playing T. Higgins this week, not going to lie. Am very interested in acquiring T. Higgins at a discount right now for my playoff roster because that team has been terrible. He has done nothing, and I've noticed he is widely available on a lot of teams.
And very cheap.
And I am highly interested in that conversation if people are ready to cut bait on T. Higgins. If I have a good team and I'm going to the playoffs and people are frustrated by T. Higgins, I will happily take that off your hands. And if I have a good team where I can sit him on the end of my bench for a while, would love to have him for the playoff run in the background. He was used as a decoy last week. Can you blame the Bengals? I would have done the same thing. If I was actually running the Bengals, I'd have ran him out there. And just, why wouldn't you? Just he's a decoy. The defense doesn't. I know that that's frustrating from a fantasy perspective. So that's the other one that I wanted to go through was T. Higgins and then Calvin Ridley, and then I actually had, I had one more very quick one, and it's just real quick. Devonta Smith, because it's the freaking yo-yo that is Devonta Smith
and
right
Waddle.
Now. Yeah, but
they're all the same player in my mind.
Like, it is. There is. It's funny because that was the same tier. It was the Higgins, Waddle, Smith tier in redraft this year. Remember that tier? It was like tier 4 of wide receiver. That tier has been a nightmare. It's been a huge disaster. That whole tier is on fire in the background right now. All of them have been brutal. That whole tier has been terrible. I was looking at my pre-draft rankings and I'm like, oh God. It's all pretty much fine. And then it gets to here, and it's like, oh, geez, oh, that's horrible. And then it starts getting better again. And it's like, oh, it's basically just the round 3 and 4 wide receivers that have all failed. They've all failed. And I'm not alone in that, by the way. That ain't just Neil's rankings that look like that. That's the industry. So it has been brutal. I have been super right on Michael Pittman, by the way, so far. He has even outkicked my expectations where I was making fun of people for like, why?
To be fair, it's really helping that Minshew's quarterback, which is why I had him high anyway. That was the only
still
reason.
Right. Still,
I know. I was more nervous about it with Richardson, though. I mean,
I'll take questions whenever they come in, Daniel.
Yeah, all good.
You don't need to worry about that. You just put them in whenever you need them. For as long as we're on here, we'll answer them. And then come back on Sunday, obviously, for the final countdown.
But then you're stuck with me. And
well, I'm running the chat in the background, and I'm usually instigating.
1 receiver, 2 flex, PPR.
I'm mocking you for your Chris Godwin takes. Like I'm doing all manner of things in that chat.
Addison, London, Pierce.
1 wide receiver and 2 flex. Huh.
I mean, I would guess you would probably go Bourne, but
Waddle, Addison, Bourne.
Yeah.
Waddle, Addison, Bourne. I'm gonna play those 3 guys. I'm avoiding the running backs on your list here. It's PPR and it's flex. So I don't really want to play Pierce because it's not that Pierce doesn't have a good matchup. He does. Watch Singletary score those touchdowns, and then Pierce gets nothing and puts up a 6 anyway. And watch that happen, and watch the internet literally just cave in on itself like a black hole. Fantasy Twitter will just implode, and that'll be a good thing because Twitter's a cesspool. So and it's not getting better. In fact, it's actually getting much worse. I don't know if you've noticed that, Jason. That Twitter, I didn't actually think Twitter could scrape the bottom of the barrel much harder. Boy, they are just like. It's like hold my beer. Like they're trying to like outdo themselves as far as like how low they can go. It's really bad. But yeah, Pierce and Henderson are off the list. And any chance I have to sit Drake London, I'm taking. Because Drake London is I score a touchdown or it's nothing. Bourne's getting way too many targets. The usage is too high. Addison, same story. Boy, Addison could be one hell of a football player. And then Waddle. That ain't good. Thank you for those updates, Polo. I genuinely appreciate that knowledge. Jason's reaction pretty much sums up, I think, a lot of people right now with the. Can you lean even further back and make your mouth be completely like that again? No, like this. There. Yeah, there we go. There it is.
It hurt.
Yeah, Daniel. Waddle, Addison, Bourne.
Oh, you're actually playing Waddle. Okay.
Yeah, Waddle, Addison, Bourne. Yeah. That's what we're gonna do. And all right. We did sits of the week. We actually did a lot of wide receiver sits, more than normal. So let's go to tight end. Everybody's favorite part of well, I should say everybody. Jason's favorite part of the show.
Yep, I'm bringing it back. It's Trey McBride versus the Ravens.
I knew that was going to happen. I absolutely knew that was happening. That was the lock. That was my lock of the week. Was that Jason would pick? You are welcome. My lock of the week was that Jason would bring up Trey McBride here. Go ahead, do the Trey McBride stats that have been on Twitter all week. I know you've got them tattooed on your arm.
No,
although I will say you were doing these before they were cool.
Okay, thank you. That's
you were doing those. You were doing those like 3 weeks ago, whereas most people have just started doing them in the last week. So I got to give you look. If I'm gonna be super mean all the time, I have to give you credit when you're ahead of the curve. You were first to the Trey McBride party long before a lot of other people.
When I started seeing his routes going up, I'm like, ooh, this is gonna be fun. We're gonna need this for sure.
And then Zach Ertz goes on IR. I'm sure
makes it even better.
Yeah.
Murray could play this week. Kind of doubt it.
I don't think that's.
He's been running with the second. He's been doing the second team.
I think they're going to give Murray a week on the bench to kind of get through
hoping.
Another week of practice, and then I wouldn't even be shocked if they don't start him until week 10. By the way, guys, just so we're clear, like he didn't get no training camp, he didn't get no preseason. He's been on crutches. His conditioning, I don't know what his conditioning is. Also, they're trying to lose games.
Are they?
Yes.
I've been very confused by it. They've had some very odd
Well,
weeks.
I think they want to try and showcase him for the trade, but the problem is you've already missed that window for this season. There's still the theory that the Cardinals are trying to be bad enough to get all the way to like the 1 pick. The issue is they're not bad enough because teams like the Panthers and the Bears exist. So that was the narrative from days gone by. I don't know if they're still trying to do that or not anymore. They might just be content with Murray.
No, my favorite thing about Trey McBride though is every week since week 4. I mean, really since week 3 when he didn't have anything, his targets have gone up. Week 4, 1 target.
Yeah.
Week 5, 3 targets. Week 6, 5 targets. This past week, 6 targets. Like it's slowly going up. He's seeing more and more usage. He's running the routes. He was splitting with Ertz, and then Swaim came in, which I'm assuming happened because Ertz got injured. But even then, if he can get up to that, like you said, if you're seeing 9 targets, you're no longer a flex. You're a starter. So, and in a game where they're going to have to throw because they're not good, kind of want that. Love it. Makes me happy.
Yeah, no, McBride makes sense. If you're looking for a streamer. This list is
You like it, huh?
just hideous. It's Logan Thomas. And it's not just because Logan Thomas has been seeing good usage. It's because he draws Philly. And then as I've brought up on other weeks on this show, Philly is a great matchup for tight end. Just go look at it. Like, Philly really struggles at stopping the tight end. And they love to throw it to Logan Thomas anyway. So this feels like a layup. Logan Thomas is kind of my streamer of the week in a lot of ways. So he's who I'm looking at outside the top 12. I was actually surprised that he wasn't in the top 12.
Yep. That was another one that I again, like you said, I was surprised that he wasn't there.
Already. Yeah, and then once he wasn't, it felt like a layup. So that's like, okay, that feels like what you're doing. Who's your sit of the week over there?
Dalton Schultz versus the Panthers.
Oh, wow. You're going against the grain, actually.
I am.
You're going way against the grain.
Yep. I'm one of the few people who there is opportunity because the fact that Woods is likely out this week.
I apologize for checking my phone on camera. Because I think I just got an alert that might be Stefan or might be Allen related. So I'm checking. Keep going.
You're good. So Dalton Schultz against the Panthers should be that'd be the 3rd target on the team. It has really been based on the fact that they have needed him with the Tank Dell out and Woods being an older player. I think with Dell returning, his target share goes down, as well as the fact that they started to use Singletary in the passing game as well. So those targets being taken away from the tight end, I think that was really what boosted him up, was the direct correlation between Schultz and Dell being out. Like his target share went way up when Dell got hurt, and then I would expect it to come back down in this matchup.
Well, the other issue that is going on there is that Schultz is propped up by touchdowns. He's scored 3 weeks in a row. If he doesn't score in some of those games, we're not having this conversation. So that's part of your problem. But yeah, it's a little. Alrighty, everybody can calm down.
Praise Jesus.
Or whoever your deity of choice is.
Go nuts. Thank you. I was like, come on, Neil, say it.
Yeah, this is tough because there's just so many. My cup runneth over. There's so many people to fade. You could literally fade everyone. I want to fade Dalton Kincaid. I've been right so far, but that's cheating. I'd accuse myself of cheating if I was going to do that. But that's a terrible matchup against Tampa Bay, and people got all excited about it, and I'm like, okay, if that's
you
really
mean tonight, right now?
Yeah, tonight, right now. If that's really what you want to do, like, go knock yourself out.
Crap.
But
sorry, I just realized they scored.
Can I help you? Who scored?
In Tampa.
They got a field goal at one point. I know that.
Yeah, now they're kicking the extra point.
Oh, they scored again.
Yeah, they actually scored.
Oh, okay.
Chris Godwin touchdown.
I will take that. I will take that all day. Chris Godwin is having a game, by the way. If you want to read that out real quick.
3 for 33 and a touchdown.
Oh,
And he also has a carry for 14 yards.
I thought it was more than that. I thought he was at like 3 for 40.
Yeah, 3 for 43.
Oh, 43. I'm sorry. I heard you say 33.
Oh, no. 3 for 30.
I heard 3 for 33. And no, it's 3 for 43. That makes more sense. Yeah.
And a touchdown as well as
and then a carry.
Yeah, for 14 yards.
I will take that all day long, baby.
I don't like the fact that you're using Chase Edmonds.
Yeah, I don't like that either. Rachaad White is actually a trade candidate for me. There's a number of running backs that I want to trade. Rachaad White is one because, believe it or not, I know the usage is good, but Rachaad White is kind of like really inefficient. Really inefficient. And he's kind of just a guy.
Better than Chase Edmonds.
Yes, well, that's not.
I don't know why they keep splitting that backfield either. It's really
and they want to use Keyshawn Vaughn, and it's like, ew.
Also just got to carry.
Yeah, it's like gross. So you have that problem, and then you have so like if someone wants to give me like full sticker for Rachaad White, I'm taking it. Like that's. I almost sat. I had a decision in a dynasty league that you might appreciate. T. Higgins or Rachaad White. That's tough, man, and that's a tough one, you know.
Is it PPR?
Yeah. Yeah, full PPR. My running backs are Eckler, Swift, Brian Robinson, and Rachaad White. Those are my running backs that matter. My wide receivers are T. Higgins, Michael Pittman, Cortland Sutton, Josh Downs.
I guess is it 3 receivers in a flex?
3 receivers, 2 flex.
Okay. So you're playing the two running backs, Eckler
and Swift are pretty much must starts.
Yeah, and then you're starting Pittman and Downs and
Pittman, Downs. I'm sorry, I missed McLaurin. I have Terry McLaurin there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my team. Pretty good team. Like
I'd swing for the fences with Higgins.
That was my issue. Was like, I'm favored to win.
Oh.
So that's why I'm like, do you play Higgins in a decoy and take a 0, or do you just get whatever slop Rachaad White gives you?
I mean, if you're in PPR, he's at 5 points.
Yeah, which is like pretty good still.
In the first half.
In the first half, you'll take it. Anyway, sorry, that got really personal in the background there for a second. My point was, even in that league, I'm looking at Shop and White. My team is 6-1. I'm like, I might go shop White around. Like, I might try to get like a real wide receiver. You know what I mean? Like, see if I can get me like something nice. Get like a real wide receiver toy.
I need to do that, and I need to get a real running back. It's been killing me.
Yeah, so I'm like, I have that decision, but like, there's certain guys. Cook is one that I'm looking at shopping. White, if I have him, I want to shop. Aaron Jones, but I'm waiting on Aaron Jones because I want him to have a couple good games.
You need value.
Yeah, it's not worth doing that right now. But like, there's certain running backs that we've trade deadline in most leagues is week 11, by the way, guys. So standard PSA on this. It's week 8. I did this on Tuesday. We'll do it again here. The standard trade deadline for most leagues is week 11. This will obviously vary depending on what site you play on, what your format is, and what your actual league settings are. But so you need to check this. But for most outlets, it's week 11. This is the time when you need to start evaluating trades. If you are 6-1 or better, or even 5-2, you need to start looking at how to build your playoff roster. You need to start figuring that out for yourself in the background. Like, now is when you can start looking at schedules, by the way. You have enough data. If you're 3-4 and 4-3, you need to start figuring out how to bolster your roster to make the playoffs. If you're 2-5, if you're 2-5, this is it. You need to start making hard choices. And if you're 1-6, I'm sorry. And you're not listening to this. But like,
you should be. I mean, there's still opportunity. You could still make it.
You could run the table, but it's going to be hard. But this is when you need to start being honest with yourself, being honest about your team. And as I frequently have to remind people, hope is not a strategy. Hope is nice, but it's not a strategy. The other way of expressing this idea is hope in one hand and crap in the other, and you tell me which one piles up first. Like, that's the other way. That's the less nice way of expressing that idea. So hope is not a strategy. This is when you need to start looking at trades The trade channel on the Discord should be going ape bleep every day right now with trades. Y'all love coming to me with trades and Mike Berlin with trades at the beginning of the year for some reason that I can't fathom because you're all itchy. Now is the time when you got to get that heroin fix. Those first 3 weeks of the year, you start scratching. Now is the time you got to start looking at trades, especially if you're 5-2, 6-1 or better. It's time to start looking at playoff rosters. You want to start finding things that are going to have decent playoff schedules. You want to start going and taking advantage of the bad teams. Now's the time you want Tajay Spears, by the way. That's one I want to acquire. You want to acquire Tajay Spears because he hasn't done much yet. But if they trade Henry in the next 4 days, he's an RB1. Well, okay, maybe not. He's an RB2 at least. You agree with that, right? Like that, yeah. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, there's certain guys.
I'd be more hesitant if they get rid of Tannehill.
Yes, I would too. But there's certain guys right now that are very cheap that you want to look at. The window on Godwin just closed, by the way. That just shut tonight. It's already shut. That just happened. That touchdown shuts the window. So the window on Godwin is closed. Now, but there's still windows on lots of things that are very attractive that are good buy lows. Higgins is a good one.
Chris Olave.
Chris Olave is an interesting one. If you can get Olave for the stretch run, that's not a bad one. That is not a bad one. I don't hate that. Cortland Sutton is a sell because Cortland Sutton is propped up only by touchdowns right now. He is scoring at a clip that is not sustainable.
Even if Jerry Jeudy's traded.
It doesn't matter. People are not paying attention. Now, I'm not giving Cortland Sutton away for free. That is not what I mean. But Cortland Sutton is an interesting sell because if he's not scoring touchdowns, he's kind of useless. He keeps scoring, so it keeps propping him up. Addison was one that I was a buy. Now the window on that got shut on Monday night. Shut that window down. This is why I'm saying now is the time you want to start looking at this type of stuff. Downs is unacquirable right now. Sorry. What would it take to acquire Downs, Jason?
I have him because I picked him up.
I know this. I know, but I'm like, what do you think it would take to acquire Downs? Not a price I'm willing to pay, I think is the answer.
I don't know. Like, it depends on, again, what you need. So if you have Downs, you're probably wide receiver heavy like me. A good RB. So let me see. If I'm looking at RBs right now, I would take Swift, Walker.
Yeah, that's probably about right.
That's kind of where I'm at. I mean, I already have Henry or Montgomery.
It's probably about that. But that's the same. That's the same. My point was 4 weeks ago, you could have had Downs for a ham sandwich.
For free, like me.
Like you could have had Downs for nothing. I have a lot of Downs as well, but that's because I drafted him like a psychopath. And I've been waiting for this because you remember the draft coverage where I was like taking my shirt off for Josh Downs, like, and I won't do that again because I won't horrify people. We won't have any viewership left. But like,
I was mostly just crying because we still drafted Quentin Johnson in the first round.
It means a lot to me, more than most people, when Reggie Wayne is pounding the table for you and is like, this is the guy I want, go get him. And then they do it. And I'm like, okay. Well, Reggie Wayne actually knows a little bit about football. So we might be inclined to listen to Reggie Wayne on who he thinks is a good wide receiver. Also, when he controls a certain level of play. Who?
Yes.
Who?
Kincaid.
Oh, gross.
2 for 25 and a touchdown. That's
it bails out everybody who had to play him. I never even did my sit of the week because we got a little distracted there.
Oh yeah, for tight end.
Yeah, because I couldn't do Kincaid because it's cheating. It's a rough one with this because everybody in the beginning of it has good matchups. For me, it's actually going to be Evan Ingram, and it's risky because Ingram's actually been pretty good, but Pittsburgh's defense has been rough, or they've been good is what I mean there. They've been rough for the offenses that play against them, so they've been pretty good. All right, do a couple questions here. Eckler better than? Oh, that's a statement. That's not a question.
Yeah, no. The thing is Austin Eckler really enjoys fantasy, and that's part of the reason he's so upset about what's going on.
Well, they need to fire his coach, and then this will work itself out.
You hope.
Yeah, I know a lot of people in that boat. So that's what I'm saying. You, my friend, need to be looking at like, all right, what do you want to do trade wise to try and like improve? Because if that's that league with Josh Jacobs, Laporta's not enough. But I like where your head's at. You want to start thinking about trades right now if you're 4-2. 4-2 is exactly where I want to be, like looking at trades and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay.
And yes, I acknowledge, Daniel, I'm sorry. You play in an 8-team league. It's really hard to do. This is why I don't play in 8-team leagues. I like playing in 12-team. 12-team is where I feel that's the sweet spot. 10 is too shallow. 16 is nuts. I do play in some 16-team leagues. It's fun, but whoo boy. One of the favorite teams, one of the favorite leagues, it's not active anymore, unfortunately, but one of my favorite leagues I ever played in. We ran for like 5 years. It was a 16-team league. Keep 4, full PPR, kick and punt return. That was a fun league.
Rashid Shaheed.
That league was stupid. And this is old enough back when this was when Randall Cobb was a young man. Randall Cobb was a monster in that league because he was running kicks and catching passes. Randall Cobb out there putting up like 40 points. Like it was incredible. Like you would find weird guys like that. Like Devin Hester was a monster in that league because he would catch a couple passes a game and then score. And it's like that's how old that league was. But that league was like running that crazy rule set before that was cool. Like that league was like a pioneer. It was a trailblazer of a league. Laporta.
Yeah.
Don't like that Laporta's beat up, but go ahead and play your Lions against the Raiders. Terrible, 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 terrible defense.
Just hope they score.
Yeah, it's kind of what it is. So, when we did all the start sits, and I wanted to do my PSA about this is the time of year where you want to look at trades. Trades is very important. You want to either be trying to get over the hump or you want to be trying to build your playoff roster, or now is the time when it's officially okay for you to start making major moves if you're 2-5, because you got to do something. And hope is not a strategy. You gotta do something about it in the background here. So Jason, what would you like to say to the fine folks here as we kind of transition to wrapping up, because we're about to hit the 2-minute warning in that game if we haven't already.
Yeah, I mean, if you're hearing whispers of people potentially being traded, start looking at the team that they're getting traded from and see what you should be potentially buying. For example, Tajay Spears is a good example. Treylon Burks, another good example.
Could be interesting. Could be interesting. If Hopkins is gone, Burks could be interesting.
Yeah. So again, those are the kind of things that you're looking at.
Similarly, Michael Wilson.
Oh yeah.
If Hollywood Brown is gone, Michael Wilson could be interesting.
Over Rondale though?
I think they would both have value.
Okay.
They would be really annoying and they would cannibalize each other, but Michael Wilson's probably even more of a waiver claim than he would be like Michael Wilson's just a guy that it's important to know who he is. Much in the same way that Wan'Dale Robinson is good to know who he is. Like, it's not really a thing yet, but
he keeps know who that is. This is not a good week for him, though.
No, it's not a good week for him.
Matchup wise, it's actually one of the tough ones.
But yeah, there's certain guys that like okay, and another one. If you have Ken Walker, it is time to go get Zach Charbonnet if you didn't already. Do it now while it's still cheap. Because right now, Zach Charbonnet is nothing. You can get that for very little.
I think we've only been saying that every week on the waiver wire since week 1.
I've been saying it on Tuesdays every week. We've brought it up here multiple times. We talked about it in the 32 teams in 32 days as like I would want both kind of thing because Charbonnet was very inexpensive. So there's that. We've only been talking about it since July. But now is the time when you really want to start looking at that type of thing. You want to figure that out now. Breece Hall is still acquirable. Very interested in that.
That's kind of what I think I might be trying to trade for him, but I just don't know how to do that.
Yeah, it's a little rough, but if you could do it, I would. You might have to pay a little more than you're comfortable with, but Brees Hall is like stock up in a big way. There's certain players that are interesting in that regard where it's like, no, Brees is one that I'm interested in. If you don't have David Montgomery, I'm very interested in acquiring David Montgomery. That might be really hard, but it might be worth looking into. If it's in any way possible to acquire Amon Ross St. Brown, I doubt that it is. Do that, as we discussed at the start of the show. I want that. That's the thing I want. If people are freaked out by Garrett Wilson, I'll take that too. I'll take that. What else is on here that I like? Tyreek Hill's unacquirable. So is Patrick Mahomes. Steve is correct, by the way, for those of you who participate in our Discord. Patrick Mahomes is never rated as the QB1, but he is the QB1.
In everybody's mind.
In everyone's mind, and in every league, he is the QB1. He is functionally unacquirable. Don't waste your time. This is why I avoid Patrick Mahomes, just generally. It's not fun. It's not a thing I want to deal with.
Javonte Williams?
Javonte Williams is interesting because
he started to. It looked like he got the workload back.
Well, he looks like he's getting healthier.
Yeah.
And they're a terrible team, but they're stuck with it. And he ain't getting traded.
My issue is that they're still passing to Pirine, which I don't like.
Well, Pirine's always going to be a thing for at least this year. They only signed Pirine to, it was a 2-year deal, but really it's a 1-year deal because they got an out year at the end of this year, so it's like monopoly money. So they're gonna use Pirine because they can't afford to get Williams hurt again. So they've learned he can never have the full job. If you think Williams is still going to be a workhorse, I'm sorry, but I think you're reading that wrong. Like, I think they've realized that if they try to give him 80% of that job, he will tear his knee out again. So just can't happen. And they like Williams, though. He's not going anywhere. He is not one of those guys on the Broncos that they're looking at trading. They're going to keep him. That seems like something they want to retain. Sean Payton likes him, and from what I've seen so far, I really doubt Sean Payton's getting fired. I just don't see it. I think they'd be much more inclined to move on from Payton, the GM, than they would be to get rid of the other Payton, Sean Payton. It's weird that they're both Payton. I apologize for that. But it's true. They're both. It's a Payton to Payton thing, and neither of them is Peyton Manning, which is the one I would want. But I digress. It's so there's that element to it. They're getting a lot of calls on Surtain, and I'm like, you better be giving me 2 first-round draft picks, one to replace Surtain and one because I said so. There's no reason to trade Surtain for anything less than 2 first-round draft picks and probably some other stuff. I want 2 first-round draft picks, a 4, and I want the snack machine out of your break room just because I can have it. Put it on a flatbed and drive it over. I want that. I also want the pool table. Give me the pool table. I could buy a pool table, but I want your pool table just because it's what I want.
I just don't know where he would go. I mean,
be a jerk.
He doesn't want to be on a bad team.
Who?
Surtain.
Oh, he has very little say in that.
I know, but
that's the problem. He's still in his rookie contract. He has very little say. I'm serious. I would not give up Surtain for less than 2 first-round draft picks and some other stuff. Sarcasm about pool tables and vending machines aside. You for real. You got to get at least 2 first. That's why it's not going to happen, because nobody's going to give you 2 first-round draft picks. So that's part of it. That team is like the Titans in a lot of ways, but the Titans are a little more efficient at blowing up themselves. We're just going to have to see what happens here on Tuesday. Fact check me. Tuesday is the trade deadline in the real NFL, right?
Yes.
Okay, I thought I had that right.
Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween. So watch out for fake news on Twitter. That's just generally good advice. Because there will be a lot of it on Tuesday. There will be a lot of it on Tuesday, and it'll be worse because it's Halloween. So just pay attention to that. A lot of fake news. But I do expect there to be some deadline moves. The big names to watch are Henry and Judy. Hollywood Brown has been mentioned a bit. If somebody's really interested, there's some interesting defensive players that could go somewhere. I feel like I'm forgetting a couple names, but I know I got the biggest ones. And yeah, just keep that in mind for how it'll affect your fantasy teams. And I wouldn't blame you, by the way, if you wanted to wait until next week to start evaluating trades, because you probably have 3 weeks at that point, because it's the end of week 11. You see my point. Like, it's not, so you have a little bit of grace period, but you need to start making some decisions and start evaluating things. And we'll do more buy low, sell high stuff over the next couple of weeks, I'm sure, Jason. just because it's the time of year for it. And then sign up for the Discord because we've got the whole trade segment. Mike Berlin should be working overtime. He should be asking for my help in there. And then, of course, roster resolutions. Pick those up on our website. Daniel, Bud have already taken part. We've already made those videos. So we're open for business on that. If you want trade advice at the trade deadline, now is a good time to get your $5 worth out. You know what I mean? Get that done. Daniel, Eberhardt, I will do an 18 league if you want. We'll do it. Jason and I will sit down and do it. I might rope Steve into that one. We'll do it for you. But yeah, there's I don't know if it's worth $5. It's going to be hard to do trade advice in an 18 league, man. It's going to be really hard. But for a lot of other people like Polo, $5. Hit us up. We'll go through your 4-2 team if you want. We'll go through the whole thing in the background. The people who've done them so far, the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. And as you saw, we helped Daniel broker a trade tonight. It was in the most ass way possible, but we did it. It was effective. It worked. You can't argue with results. I want winners. They are who we thought they were. We let them off the hook. But yeah, the feedback on that has been overwhelmingly positive. And we need to go ahead and continue to keep the momentum going on that. Now is a great time of year to be doing it. We can help you get your playoff roster set or help you fix your team, depending on what's going on there. But yeah, now is the time when you want to be doing trades. Also, now is the time when you also really want to be doing it because those 2-5 teams and those 1-6 teams that might just be paying attention a little bit, they are going to fall off in standard redraft here in about a week. Those people will be eliminated. They will not be paying attention anymore. Once a team gets to 7 losses, they're done. So they usually don't pay attention anymore past that. So you want to start shooting your shot on some of this stuff right now. I knew somebody would like that. Yeah.
Well,
I want all the handicaps hot fries in the machine. I want the sun chips. I want the Gardettos. You can keep the combos. Not a big combo guy. You can keep
I always think of Moneyball when I hear about Snack Machine. I'm like, I want you to stack or fill our pop machine for 2 years. What? I don't want our guys paying for soda.
Yeah. Yeah. I love negotiating like that. It's just a dick move. It's just a dick move. It's just funny. It's just for the jokes. But yeah, no, there's a lot of interesting names that are coming up this year at the trade deadline. This sometimes there are a lot of deals. Sometimes this goes over like a giant wet fart. And everybody talks about it every year. And then some years nothing happens. We'll have to just see how this one goes. I do think there's a non-zero chance that somebody is going to do I think this year somebody is going to do something. There might be the Henry deal seems plausible. That Henry to the Ravens deal, that deal actually makes a lot of sense
for both parties.
Yes, both teams would benefit from that deal.
God,
in
Henry
a real way.
Beast too, dude.
Yeah, the Jerry Jeudy one is less of a thing because why would I pay what they want now when they've already picked up his 5th-year option, and I could do this in the offseason and just deal with him directly?
Yeah.
Why would I waste my time? The only reason you would do it is if you thought you could sign and extend it. And I just don't know why you would do it. It just doesn't make sense to me. But then again, the Panthers are one of the teams involved in that, and the Panthers don't make any sense. The Patriots are off the table. The Patriots don't need that anymore. The Colts are sort of interesting in that regard because they're trying to be a playoff team. I know it's a long shot, but they are. The Colts are not that far removed from being a playoff team. And I know it's weird, but they could be a playoff team. And I know you would hate that because that would basically mean Alec Pierce isn't playing anymore. Because they ain't sitting Pittman and they ain't sitting Downs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, I'm also been surprised. He's been dealing with injury all year.
Yeah, he hasn't been great this year. He has not been great. But Jason, final thoughts because we are at the half here. Let's go have some dinner. Let's go kind of relax a little bit. Try to enjoy the rest of what is normally I make jokes about game. This is an actual game. Let's go try and enjoy
I did my projected scoring and everything today on Twitter and in the Discord and everything else. So right now it's looking like I'm right where I need to be. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. But no, I mean, my biggest thing is if you want to laugh and you like horror movies, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Okay. I've heard about this. I haven't seen it yet. I've heard about it.
It's very gory.
I was gonna say I've also heard
NC-17.
I've also heard if you have a tender stomach and don't like violence, do not watch that movie.
Yeah, it's a lot, but it's a take on it, I guess. I don't know. It made me laugh a lot more than I was expecting it to, and so I figured I should.
I haven't sat down to watch it yet. I've heard people that I know who like gore horror movies really recommend it, and I've heard other people that are a little more squeamish say to stay far away. So if you have if you're sensitive to violence,
it's very violent.
Sensitive to violence and don't like gore and body horror, probably not the movie for you.
And if you expected like a clean wrap up, also doesn't happen.
Yeah. But I have heard that if you are into like horror and violence as your jam, that it's very entertaining. I mean, I have certain Halloween movies that I like. It's not a good movie, but it's an idiotic movie. If you want to watch a stupid movie, Willy's Wonderland is like the dumbest movie ever. It's basically, and it comes up because they're doing the Five Nights at Freddy's movie this year.
I'm so excited.
So if you don't know what Five Nights at Freddy's is, you can Google it. It's very popular right now. It's basically a haunted Chuck E. Cheese. That is not a new idea. They've been doing that idea for years.
Well, and I also like the fact that it's from the guys who created Megan, which I enjoyed.
Sure. My point is this. Willy's Wonderland is basically Five Nights at Freddy's, but it stars Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage produced this movie because Nicolas Cage needs money. Nicolas Cage has no lines. He is the silent protagonist. The best way I can describe this movie is Nicolas Cage beats up puppets that look like the Chuck E. Cheese animatronics for an hour and a half while drinking energy drinks and playing pinball. That's the whole movie. The dumbest movie of all time, but it is a fun Halloween movie. Other Halloween movies, Halloween 3, I like.
Constantine? Does that count?
Constantine is kind of a Halloween movie.
That's why
I like Halloween 3 because it's stupid. It's very stupid. That's the one where they have the Silver Shamrock Company, and they have the song 8 more days till Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. More days till Halloween, Silver Shamrock. That's the one where they like poison the town's ice cream for no reason. Like, it's sort of like The Stuff. If you've ever seen The Stuff, it's very similar to The Stuff, which is also a stupid movie that I will recommend to people. If you've never seen The Stuff, that movie is just a good time. God, it's stupid. It does not take itself too seriously at all. They knew what they were making was dumb, and they just leaned into it full lean in. I appreciate that.
Talked about it a lot last year. Smile.
Yeah, I know some people like Smile. Smile's not really my kind of movie. I did sit through it. It was okay. I didn't hate it.
Black Phone.
Yeah, Black Phone is an interesting one.
I'm more into the psychological, like, they like to mess with you.
I like things that are more just effed up. Like, I like the movie The Witch.
Okay.
Which is like a 2015 movie by Robert Eggers, who has made a lot of really good movies. He's the guy who made Lighthouse. He made that Viking movie that didn't do well. Don't hold that against him. He's made some much better movies. The Viking movie from like last year that with Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe was in a lot of his movies. But I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. It was in theaters. It was in like 2022. It tanked. It didn't do well. But Willem Dafoe was also in The Lighthouse.
The Northman?
Robert Pattinson. Yeah, The Northman.
Okay.
He made this movie in 2015 called The Witch. The movie is effed up. That movie sticks with you. You remember it. It's right around the part the guy goes insane and starts eating dirt and cutting himself. That it's like, oh Jesus, like what happened here? It's all in Old English. It's a period piece. It's kind of like The Crucible if The Crucible was really, really messed up. Basically, the idea is they have a child and the child goes missing, and they think it's kidnapped by Satan. And the whole rest of the movie is trying to figure that out, and it just gets progressively more effed up. And it ends in this really weird way that I'm like, whoa, that was a decision. And it's one of those movies, man, that you remember. I did not like the new Exorcist movie. If you want to watch an Exorcist movie, go watch the original Exorcist movie. That movie's great. Also, Dark Horse, watch The Exorcist 3. Not Exorcist 2, Exorcist 3. The movie is good.
And if you have kids and you want to watch something with them, The Witches.
Yeah.
That movie like screwed my mind as a child.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with horror movies recommending to kids because I see people that recommend stuff and I'm like, dude, are you trying to traumatize children? Like, what are you doing? Like,
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, also very terrifying for children.
it's just because that movie's terrible.
Whoa,
The
whoa,
the
whoa, whoa, whoa!
if you have older kids, not really a Halloween movie, but Doctor Strangelove, uh, black and white. I know it might be hard to get younger people to sit through that at this point, but Peter Sellers is amazing in that movie, and they play it around Halloween for some reason. Really, really recommend that. And then also, if you do have kids and you want to have a Halloween movie that won't terrify them, Young Frankenstein. Young Frankenstein is just the jam. Like that's an all-time classic, even for people that don't have kids. Just watch Young Frankenstein. It's a top 5 movie for me. I love it. Like it's Mel Brooks. It's Peter Sellers again. It's Gene Wilder. It's just amazing. That movie is just so freaking great. Like it, and it's Halloween because it's Frankenstein. Frankenstein is played by the dad from Everybody Loves Raymond, who is dead, who's no longer with us. I forget his name. But yeah, I cannot recommend that movie enough. If you've never seen Young Frankenstein, check it out. It's fun for all ages. The Goosebumps movie came out. It's another thing I would recommend if you have kids, even slightly older kids.
Or yourself.
Yourself if you're my age and are
like,
old and you're a nerd. And
I read a lot of Goosebumps as a kid.
Yeah, if you want to recapture and they're doing the puppet one again with Slappy, and that's the one people always remember. It's got that guy in it that I'm lukewarm on that I can never remember his name. Justin Long, I think is what his name is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm not super excited about that, but whatever. But yeah, there's a lot of like Halloween stuff going on. I know they're doing another American Horror Story, which I feel like jumped the shark like 5 years ago. Whatever, people like it, they watch it.
Bodies is another one.
Yeah,
I like that one.
Yeah,
short and sweet. It's just interesting, the idea.
Not really a Halloween movie, but It Lives, starring Rowdy Piper. John Carpenter movie, great movie. Oh my god. People haven't seen that, and I'm like, y'all need to see that. That movie's great. You've seen elements of that movie, even if you've never seen it, because it's been recreated in other media. But it's an old John Carpenter movie starring Rowdy Piper, and it's amazing. And it's not a comedy. It's fantastic. Rowdy Piper, spoiler alert, can act a little bit. He's pretty good in that movie.
You mean a pro wrestler can act?
He can act. A little bit. I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing over there. Hell, man, other John Carpenter movies, the original It. Well, it's not really the original It, but it's the It from the 80s, the good one. The original It was a movie in the 50s. It's black and white. It's really hard to watch.
No, I was talking about the book. I'm like, the book was awesome.
Well, the book is messed up, but no, like, there's a movie called the original It was actually made in the 50s. It's black and white. It's really hard to get through. It's the same basic story, but it's done very differently. The one that people should watch is the one from the 80s by John Carpenter. That movie is just a masterpiece. Like, that movie's just a masterpiece. Like, straight through. And it's horror, so you can watch it at Halloween. It's fantastic. Highly recommend the original It. Well, not, you know what I mean. The 80s It. Man, when John Carpenter gave a bleep about what he was doing, that man made some movies. Also, Halloween. You know, he made that too. Like, you could, there's always the classics. So
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yep.
Lawnmower Man.
Lawnmower Man's a weird movie, man. That movie doesn't really hold up the way that I remember it from when I was a kid. What's the other one? It's got Lawrence Fishburne in it. Event Horizon.
Oh, yeah.
That movie is screwed up. If you want to watch a screwed up movie that is actually weirdly funny, that's one. If you've got a real sick sense of humor, that movie's kind of funny. It's got Lawrence Fishburne in it. Great movie. And then also for Halloween, I've got 2 movies that people have probably never seen, but I would recommend. I've recommended them to you. I don't know if you've said that or watched them. Reanimator. Reanimator is a messed up movie from like the late 70s, early 80s about a guy who starts bringing zombies back to life, but the zombie talks. And if you're sensitive, earmuff it. At one point, a decapitated zombie head performs cunnilingus on a woman. That movie is amazing. It is hysterical. It's not porn. You don't see it, but like it's freaking hilarious. Like there's parts of that movie where people are overacting so hard that it's amazing, and it's not ironic. It is very funny, and it's it's not really it's scary-ish, but it's mostly just really messed up and really funny.
I think how we got onto that was Idle Hands.
Yeah, Idle Hands is a movie like that too. Like, and then what's the other one that it's the same people, but it's not Reanimator. It's after Reanimator. It's I'll remember it here in a second. It's escaped my brain because I'm trying to remember it. From Beyond came out a few years later. From Beyond is a screwed up movie about what happens when people try to punch through to an alternate reality. And what happens is it affects people's pineal gland, which is the gland in your head that regulates hormone production. So that gland starts protruding from people's heads and they start turning into demons. That is not a comedy. It is not funny and it's screwed up. And the guy who made it probably should get psychiatric help. Highly recommend. Highly recommend. If you want to watch a messed up movie, like if you are looking to freak somebody out, hey, if you want to traumatize children, if that's your thing, From Beyond. They will be up all night. You will get a phone call from parents. There will be police might get involved. It is not a movie to be taken lightly. This is why Jason and I've talked about doing a movie review sideshow for this, because I could do this all night. Like I could do this, and I know you can too. You and I have very different tastes. I like things that are like arty and messed up and have a point, and Jason just likes to have a good time. He likes like Sharknado. And I'm like, I don't want to watch Sharknado.
I just like to consume as much media as possible.
I want to watch some guy's pineal gland come out of his forehead, and then a lady throws herself out of a window. Like that's more what I'm looking for. Like weird crap that people, if people see it and they don't know, they're like, "Are you okay? Do you need to talk to someone?" And it's like, nah, I'm good. I just have messed up taste in like what I like.
Joe.
Yeah, like there's just certain movies that I'm like, that is messed up. Give me more, make more, please. Like, I'm not really like, I like some of the popcorn stuff that people make, but like, I'm not really the Marvel audience. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people who are, and that's fine, but like, it's not really my jam. Like, I'm not gonna go watch Black Widow. You know what I mean? That's not really my thing.
Just finished 11/22/63.
How is that? I haven't seen it.
It's all right. Didn't enjoy the ending, but that happened with that kind of movie. So I feel like there could have been a lot more tracks. It probably could have multiple seasons, but it was fine.
I recommended The Passenger a few weeks back to people, which is on streaming. It's similar. It works a lot like Fight Club. It's not Fight Club though. It's that vein of movie.
That's Amy Adams?
Yeah, I think she's in there.
Okay.
And then it's this guy who's in like a million horror movies whose name escapes me. It's at one point, and he's the main hero and a villain, anti-hero, I guess. He goes on a killing spree right at the beginning of the movie because one of his coworkers is being picked on, and he just snaps. And the rest of the movie is he murders a bunch of people, and then he takes his coworker hostage. And he's basically just trying to like help his coworker fix his life because he realizes that he's got like 24 hours before the cops figure out what's happened, and they're going to be after him. It's a weird premise for a movie, but the guy who made it really did a nice job. The location scouting and the music, and like they didn't shoot on sets. They found this like derelict town in the middle of rural America, and that's where they shot everything. So the restaurant they shoot at is a real restaurant. And it's like the mall they go to that's like this dilapidated mall. It's a real mall. Like it's a real mall somewhere that has like 3 functioning stores. So it's
I also enjoyed Fall if you just want something that
Reanimator. Reanimator. You will be asked to leave. Actually, don't do that. Do you want to wait? I'm assuming you don't want to get divorced? Not Reanimator. Not Reanimator. Not Reanimator. They won't get it. People won't get it. Like they will not get it, and you'll freak a bunch of people out. Maybe go with one of Jason's recommendations. Not A Clockwork Orange either. If you've never seen that, not that. Never that. You want to talk about a movie that gave me nightmares when I was a kid? I saw that when I was like 12. Way too young. Way too young.
Yeah.
To watch that movie. That was one of those nights where also when I saw The Exorcist for the first time, I was 11. Stayed up all night with the lights on. Not cool. That was one of the ones where I love my dad, but that was one of the ones where my dad let me watch that with him. And then halfway through, I think he realized his mistake, but we had gone too far. And he's like, well,
now.
the die has been cast now. He's already traumatized. It's too late. Like, that was the same thing with A Clockwork Orange. And then, yeah, that movie like terrified me. I did not like that movie. I like it now as an adult, but as a child, that was.
Well, a lot of the concepts were over your head at that point too.
Yeah, but it's still brutal, and you're even at 12, you can kind of figure out like, not great. Like it's, I mean, hell, other weird movies. Blue Velvet. It's a David Lynch movie. I watched that for a cinema studies class when I was 17. Even then, I was sitting there like, y'all are perverts. Like this movie is messed up. I could see why people got upset about that movie because it came out during the 70s, and it's like this is riding the line, man, of what's of even like not acceptable. I've seen some of these.
Yeah. Darkness Falls, I think, is the Lion one. Like Devil's Advocate, like Get Out, Stigmata, of course. I'm trying to think of Fallen.
I think I've never seen Fallen, and I've never seen Quiet Place. Those are the ones that are more recent movies.
A Quiet Place is really good, but I like it because I took sign language.
Oh, I see.
Movie, there's like
it'd be less of a
5
lift.
words of dialogue.
Yeah, it'd be less of a lift for you.
Yeah,
because I don't know any American Sign Language.
I mean, it's not a whole lot, and they kind of give you an idea.
But yeah, it's funny. I don't really like the M. Night Shyamalan movies. I remember going to see The Village in theaters.
Oh, I really like Fallen, actually. That's the one I thought it was with Denzel Washington. You might like that one.
I like Denzel, so sure. Like those are usually popcorn movies because it's just Denzel.
Yeah, but it has a little bit of a stretch to it.
Okay.
I also kind of think of like Dreamcatcher. Again, when it comes to Stephen King, if he has a movie from a book,
yeah, they're usually pretty good.
So Dreamcatcher.
I have mixed feelings about the It movies, both the first one and the second one.
The remake or the original?
Both. They both do things that I'm like, did you really need this? I get that it was in the book, but it's like, did you really need this in the movie? And then like this is now 3 hours long for this reason. Like, oh, for the love of God. And then it's like I like Cujo. That's not bad. And and Pet Cemetery.
Yeah.
Those are pretty good. But yeah, I remember going to see The Village.
That one was,
and that turned into Mystery Science Theater 3000 with like an organic group of people. There was like 50 people in that theater, and everybody's just mocking the movie openly on the screen. And I'm like, this is actually kind of fun. Like, yeah, like it's actually kind of entertaining. Like, no one is taking this seriously. And I remember the end twist. And spoiler alert for The Village, 20 years later, when they find out that it's this like weird town or whatever, people started booing the movie, like in the theater. And I'm like, no one boos. No one actually boos the movie. But I watched that movie get booed, and I remember laughing way too hard.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one too. Keanu Reeves has actually been in a couple of like scary movies that I liked. The Whole Truth and Knock Knock. Or
I've never seen either of those.
Knock Knock is intense. It's like 2 girls show up at his house on a rainy night. It proceeds from there. It's
inappropriate.
I mean, at points it can be, but it's interesting. Like it goes pretty hard. So that's another good one I enjoyed. That and Hard Candy. If you're talking about,
I know Hard Candy. I know that movie. Yeah, I know that movie. My college roommate loved that movie and would play it all the time. And I'm like, dude, I can't watch this. Like I've seen that movie like 5 times, and I'm like, dude, that's 4 times too many. Like that's like there was a couple times where I'm like, I'm not watching this movie again.
Yeah. Gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, it's not really a Halloween movie, but
just scary.
Not really a that is. But I was saying I have Heavy Metal and Heavy Metal 2000. Yeah. Let's go. That's not a movie for people that are sober. That's not a sobriety movie. That's not how that works. South Park makes fun of that in a way that I find very entertaining. There's the episode of South Park which is just heavy metal and bits of Heavy Metal 2000. So funny.
And we've now
Anyway.
creeped into the third quarter.
We have. Also watch Donnie Darko, but don't watch Donnie Darko 2.
Facts.
Yeah. Donnie
Hey,
Darko, great movie. Donnie Darko 2, we don't talk about Donnie Darko 2. Anyway, yeah, we're creeping in the third quarter. Jason, I need to eat dinner. As fun as this is, what we'll do is if we get enough audience interest, we'll actually do the proper movie show. We'll do a proper movie show. But I do appreciate them giving some movie recommendations since we won't be on before Halloween is already come and gone. And Halloween is a good time to put on some movies, whether they're scary movies or not. Some are fun, some are scary, some are gory, some are comedy and fun. Like Shaun of the Dead.
Picture show.
Well, Rocky Horror Picture Show is a good one. Shaun of the Dead is my all-time favorite. If you want a comedy
Yeah.
horror, like that's the gold standard. It doesn't really get better than that. So
Steve's gonna see this and be like, "You guys went for how long?"
Nah, I don't care. I don't care what Steve's opinion is. We're fine. It's fine. I'll tell Steve what's up. It'll be fine. But with that, I am going to go down to the Winchester and grab a pint and wait for all of this to blow over. And tune in tomorrow for Locked In with Mason and Vishal and ask them their movie recommendations. It'll catch them off guard. They will have no idea what you're talking about, and I'd be actually genuinely curious what Mason says. And
really both of them. It'd be interesting to see what either.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because they're very different people.
Yeah,
they're very different people, Mason and Vishal. So, there have been some really bad Denzel movies.
I get that, but you should watch Fallen.
All right. Well, I also like some of them aren't bad. I do like Man on Fire. So there's things like that, but some of those movies are really bad.
The Equalizer, right?
Yeah, that's why they're making a third one. Because every time they make one of those, they make money. That's why the Equalizer 3 is coming out. They're going to put that in theaters, and I was like, oh my god, we are.
Well, I mean, John Wick, like that. They only keep putting that out because it makes money.
It makes money every time. Yeah. But anyway, as I said, I'm going to the Winchester and having a pint and waiting for all this to blow over. And great movie. And with that, tune in Friday, and then we will see you on Sunday morning for Roster of the People. Jason will be on. I'll be running the chat as always. And we've been getting a really nice turnout for that, so I've been pretty impressed. So we'll keep it going for as long as people keep showing up. People seem to like it. And with that, see you on Sunday. But until then, keep up the nonsense.